Alright folks, today we're going to do a quick batch of 215 grain, that looks just like this, Missouri Bullet Company. Final ones are going to look about like that. And that's using CFE BLK by Hogden. And we're going to use 12.0 grains. We're using cut and trimmed brass. We are going to have to expand the necks. I have some that I haven't done yet right here. These are trimmed to 1.355. So I'm going to first put them in this 3030 expander by Lyman. I do this because I find that it shaves less lead if I do the 3030 one first and then I switch over to the Lee. I know it's a pain, but I find with just the Lee I'm still shaving brass. And when I use a combination of these two, it really does slip in there more efficiently. It's fairly belled out at the top. Still fits in all the reloading components, and it will go back into form when I use a factory crimp. So I start with the Lyman, like I said, then a Lee sizing die, and I just have two presses set up for it. So I just a quick 1, 2, and of course the way I usually would do it, I'd stage it where I do a bunch here and then move them over to this one. So there we have it, 12.0 grains of CFE BLK. Just for a quick chat on why I like this bullet. A, it's inexpensive. That's a nice thing. But also they fly pretty true. They don't mess with the suppressor at all because they're high-tech coated. 215 grains is really easy to suppress. For me, it's easier to suppress a 215 grain than it is to suppress that big 245 or some of the smaller 180s. I like 215 grain. It suppresses easy, it seems to be consistent, it flies true. It takes up a lot of the powder space, which is another nice thing. If you look in there, it goes down pretty far into there. So that's pretty good too. So there's a lot of things I like about this bullet. Price, efficiency. Are they the most accurate? They're not the most accurate, but they shoot fine. They don't have any real problems. I wouldn't be, don't load them in your 308 and make them super hot or anything, but all in all, they shoot pretty nice. This is a fairly simple process where we've already measured it out. Put the case under the powder dropper. I check it by eye then, and I'm going to go over all of them in a little while with a flashlight and check each one individually. I always like to double check. I think it's a good habit. So then I look through each one, kind of in a grid pattern, up and down, check kind of all around like that. Make sure all the levels are equal, or at least as close to equal as possible. This is a step that I really like to do because this one it is possible to do a double charge in these. Make sure your powder is the correct powder. Make sure it all looks the same. Make sure you look at it from different angles because sometimes it can deceive you just a little bit. Some people don't do this. I like to. I think it can save you a lot of trouble later on. We are going with a COAL of 1.993. 1.99. One thing I want to emphasize when you're loading these, just kind of ease them in, slow and easy. If you really ram it in there, you're going to shave some lead, even if you're doing everything right. So just ease them in. See, this is something I wanted to show you. Every now and then, it just gets in there tight. Don't push it. Bring it back out, turn it. A little circle, you're going to eventually learn how to feel the right spot. It's just going to slide right in. See? Perfect. I didn't have any shaved lead in a single one of these. So that's out of all of these, 0 shaved lead. If you have shaved lead, something is wrong. Do not load these with shaved lead. Next stage is crimp. Because this is lead, I like to go with a little bit more than a medium crimp, so maybe a medium plus crimp. Almost heavy, but a little bit less than heavy. I like that because I want these to be held nice and tight and firm in there. Final step, make sure you gauge all of them. It's always a good idea to run them through a gauge. See, it looks good. Good. I'm going to finish gauging these. And then okay, I gauged them all out. And they all gauged perfectly, so everything went well. So just a couple of final thoughts. They do take some finesse to reload. I would not recommend this as like your first reloading project. And I wouldn't recommend it very highly for a multi-stage press. I kind of like a setup like this for it. It's a double stage. It's just 2 single stage presses, so you can kind of do things with finesse and touch. If you don't have the patience for reloading, this isn't a good one to do. A copper projectile that'll slide right in there easy is much easier. Proper necking, proper tension with this is important. You need to have some finesse, you need to feel. Every now and then you're going to get one. This is another thing that I want to note. Every now and then you're going to get one that isn't perfect. So you look through a bunch of them. Let's see if I can find one. These ones look okay. But you can see they're not 100% uniform. That one right there is a little bit different in shape. It's just something to remember as you go through this. If you want accuracy, you're obviously going to try to cherry pick and get the most uniform ones you can. But all in all, I think it's a good subsonic round. I think the 215 is the one to go with. I wouldn't even mess with the 245. I think a lot of people just get it because they want the bigger one. But I think the 215 works a lot better in almost every barrel I've seen it used in. I think it gives you better accuracy. That's the one I would go with. But that's all I had to say about that. Oh, stay away from the wedge. That thing's a pain in the ass. I got it to work, but it took a ton of work. So stay away from that. Stick to this Missouri Bullet Company or whatever lead projectile or projectile of your choice. For me, its main competitor, as far as in a copper projectile, is going to be this 215 grain AMAX right there. But frankly, I think this Missouri Bullet is going to hit harder. I'm going to get a gel test for you shortly, and I'll put it in another video. But I think this one's going to hit harder than this 208 grain AMAX. This AMAX is more for long distance target shooting. So I like this 215 grain Missouri Bullet Company. I think it hits harder. I think the lead, what it'll probably do is probably going to bend at the front when it hits, almost like a hook shape. It's not going to explode or expand that much, but it's going to bend and it's going to look like a pretty nasty wound. So I think it's a pretty effective bullet for what it is. This one's not going to do anything. It's just going to go in and turn backwards and then probably go backwards the rest of the way. It's just for target practice. But it's much easier to reload this one. If you're just starting out reloading, 208 grain AMAX is so damn easy. Compared to this one, the Missouri Bullet, which takes some finesse. You got to be gentle. You can't force it. You got to treat it like a I'm not even going to say. But you got to treat it very gently and take your time and really make sure that the bullet is seating properly and having a good time. All right. Thanks a lot.